Boys, welcome to Business Studies class. In the past class, I have explained business, its basic common features, profession, employment and their features, including difference between business, profession and employment. At later stage, have also concluded objective of business, where I have classified objective of business into two, primary objective and secondary objective, where primary objective focus towards fulfillment of economic objectives, that means earning of profit. But only earning of profit, if a business aims in maximizing profit, then due to sheer passage of time, it may not be possible for that business to continue and exist. Hence, along with fulfillment of economic objective, it is also needed on part of business to fulfill secondary objective. And there I did classification as human, social and national objective fulfillment. Concluding the same, and about business, now I would like to classify business activities. Classification of business activities. Business activities are classified into two, industry and commerce. As you know, industry refers to sum total of all those activities which tend to create farm utility. Farm utility means in industry, various raw materials, various inputs are mixed up together. Then the same gets passed to different manufacturing processes and their physical shape, size, physical structure and composition gets changed to finished product. Which means manufacturing industries tend to change form of inputs into outputs. However, as far word commerce is concerned, it do not relate to your that word commerce stream which you have opted. What is commerce? You know, goods are produced by industry. Now, what is the ultimate aim of producing all those goods and services by industry? To have its effective consumption. Who does such effective consumption of goods and services? The ultimate consumer. This means when industry is engaged in continuously producing variety of goods and services for active consumption, obviously those goods and services needed to be regularly delivered, distributed with end consumers. But this is not an easy task. There exist many hindrances in flow of goods from producer industry with the end consumer. Commerce refers to sum total of all those activities which removes all these hindrances and ensures a smooth flow of goods from producers to ultimate consumer. Now, sir, question may be asked, what type of hindrances occur at the time of effective distribution of produced goods from industry with ultimate consumer? So, these hindrances may be caused of person, possession, finance, time, knowledge, etc. Along with risk. Now, commerce. There are various activities of commerce. There are various services of commerce which tend to eliminate all such hindrances. Take for example, hindrance of finance. So, bank one of the services of commerce, which as and when required, both for industry as well as consumer, tend to make available active finances. So it removes hindrance of finance and ensures not only continuity in production of goods and services, but a smooth distribution of all those produced goods and services from industry within consumer. Similarly, you have transport and other services of commerce. What transport does? It tends to deliver goods to the place of consumption, and whatever be the hindrance of place, transport, that is another services of commerce, removes such hindrance by ensuring effective delivery of goods to the place of consumption. Similarly, you have risk and uncertainties. As you all know, risk and uncertainties always prevails in every form of business. These are inherent in nature. So you must need, both industry consumer must need another services of commerce which will be instrumental in removal of such risk and uncertainties. Insurance, insurance entities, these tend to shoulder all such risk and uncertainties of its own both for industry and consumers, and eliminates to some extent the obstacle or hindrance of risk and uncertainty. Similarly, warehouses, where there is hindrance of time, that means stocking of goods is needed. So warehouses and other services of commerce, by providing a stocking facility of all those produced goods with itself, eliminates hindrance of time. And as for knowledge, you have publicity advertising. Through publicity, through advertising, end consumer tend to know about availability of variety of goods in the market, and as per their requirement, they tend to buy their requisite goods. So commerce, there are various services of commerce, and all these services of commerce remains active, remains present between producer entities and ultimate consumers, and tend to remove hindrances which exit any smooth distribution of goods. Now, would like to explain commerce later on, but first you should focus about industry. As I have explained just now, industry refers to sum total of all those activities where form utility is created. So industry has three classifications. One is primary industry, second one is secondary industry, and third one is tertiary industry. What is primary industry? These are the basic industry which supplies raw materials, various other inputs to secondary industry for its transformation into variety of outputs. So this primary industry got classified into two. Number one, extractive industry, and number two, genetic industry. Then what is extractive industry? Extraction of something from nature. Extractive industry, extraction of coal, extraction of mineral resources. So all those entities which are engaged in performance of extraction activities are concluded in extractive industry. But as you know, our population is ever changing, and don't say changing, ever increasing. So this increasing population requires what? Food, cloth and shelter. So food, in economics, probably you all have studied, land is the scarce resource whose supply is limited. Now with limited availability of land, it is needed to produce a required quantity of food, so that this growing requirement of consumption of food with the increasing population must be fulfilled. Now, genetic industry, another classification of primary industry, looks towards increasing such food supply with this increasing population. Seedlings of seeds, aquaculture, animal husbandry, genetical, making genetical changes in seedlings of species. So this genetic industry does all such activities and brings improved variant of seedlings of seeds, species, and also brings improved variant of animals which contains more flesh, and the growing requirement of consumption of food for increasing population should be fulfilled. So making genetical changes in all these are part and parcel of genetic industry. But the second classification, which is your secondary industry, actually it is classified into two: manufacturing industry and construction industry. What is manufacturing industry? Actually, different producing companies which are engaged in producing finished product actually club with manufacturing industry. Here, actual transformation of output of primary industry happens in finished product. Now, whatever be the output of primary industry actually becomes input of secondary industry and especially manufacturing industry, and those inputs are passed through different manufacturing processes so that output would be produced. Now, manufacturing industry, where actual transformation of input into finished product happens, tend to perform mainly 5 manufacturing processes. These are analytical process, synthetical process, processing, assembling, and integrated. What I mean? Analytical, analysis of finished product from inputs raw materials. So what happened? Take for example, oil and crude oil. So when crude oil gets analyzed, you have variety of products that are obtained. For example, you have coal tar. For example, you have petrol, diesel, gasoline, etc., including CNG. So this is the analytical process, analysis of one input into variety of output. Similarly, synthetical process, cement, synthesizing different products together for obtaining output, where limestone, coal, all these manganese, etc., bauxite are mixed up together to get a finished product. So under cement industry, what happens? Where different inputs are, synthesized together for getting a finished product, cement. But in processing industry, where textile industries tend to follow processing processes, here what happens? When cotton gets converted into spindles, and then those spindles are weaved into cloth, and then processing of bleaching process of that cloth happens, then actual finished product is obtained. So actually these entities tend to perform processing process for getting output production. But under assembling, various parts of finished product, parts of a main entity gets assembled together for producing output. Most of automobile manufacturing entities tend to follow assembling process, where different parts are sourced from different vendors and then are assembled together for getting a finished product. Automobile. But as for integrated process is concerned, in this process, integration of entire activities, where integration of all these activities happens together under one roof, that is called integrated process. And this integrated process is also part and parcel of manufacturing process performed by these manufacturing industries. The third, which is your construction industry. Actually, construction industry tend to perform construction activities within the country. Construction of road, construction of dams, construction of bridges. So all these are part and parcel of construction industry. Now the third one is tertiary industry. Tertiary industry mainly relates to services industry, supply of electricity, water supply. All these are, clubbed with your tertiary industry. Even telecom entities, telecom service providing entities, too are concluded under tertiary industry. So these are mainly service providing entities. I hope it is clear to everybody. Now come to commerce. Commerce has two classifications. Commerce Commerce, it is classified into two: trade, and the second one is auxiliary to trade. Now trade has again classification into home trade and the second one is foreign trade. Now home trade has further classification. For example, on the basis of geographical area, covered, it has classification into local trade and national trade. But on the basis of quantity in which goods are sold, so on the basis of quantity in which goods are sold, purchased, you have two classification: wholesale trade and retail trade. Now, foreign trade. Foreign trade too is classified into three: export trade, import trade, and intra-port trade. Now one by one, what is trade? Recurring purchase and sale of goods from a fixed definite place refers to trade. That means if an entity is engaged in, recurring means continuously, performance of purchases activity from different entities, different sources, and sale of all those purchased goods to different customers, entities on recurring basis, you may say such entity is engaged in performance of trade, and there must exist a definite location, definite place from which such recurring purchases and sales activities are being performed by such entity. Now, trade is classified into two: home trade and foreign trade. Home trade refers to that trade whose activities remains confined within political boundary of the country. But as far foreign trade is concerned, it refers to that trade whose activities do not remain confined within geographical boundary of a country. Rather, it is spread to different countries having different political setup. Now, home trade. On the basis of location or area, you may say geographical or area covered, you have local trade and national trade. What is meant by local trade? It refers to that trade whose activities remain confined to a particular location or locality. That is called local trade. But as far national trade is concerned, it refers to that trade whose activities do not remain confined to a particular location, but to different location, or you may say in different states, but always remains within the political boundary of the country, refers to national trade. But on the basis of quantity in which goods are being purchased and sold, you have wholesale trade and retail trade. What is wholesale trade? In wholesale trade, goods are purchased in bulk quantity from producers, manufacturers, and are sold in small lots to retailers. Then what is retail trade? Under retail trade, goods are purchased from wholesaler or producers in small lots and are sold to ultimate consumers in unit or pieces. I hope you have understood about trade. Now come to second aspect, that is called auxiliary to trade. Auxiliary to trade are mainly service offering entities. For example, you have banks, insurance, warehousing, transport, salesman, advertising, all these are included in auxiliary to trade. Bank, just now I have explained, one of the services of commerce which tend to remove financial burden. So it is instrumental in removing hindrance of finance, hindrance of finance. Now insurance, another services of commerce which eliminates or tend to remove risk and uncertainties. That means it removes hindrance of risk and uncertainty. Similarly, you have warehousing, which after storing goods with itself tend to remove hindrance of time, and the transport after delivering goods to the place of consumption removes hindrance of place. And salesman, whatever be the hindrance of direct contact, actually gets removed from salesman. Hindrance of direct contact. And as for hindrance of knowledge is concerned, it is removed from advertising. Hindrance of so all these auxiliary to trade, that means services of commerce, are mostly instrumental in removal of various hindrances which exist between producers and ultimate consumers. These services are regularly active, removing regularly all such hindrances and ensuring for industry smooth production and distribution activities, and for consumers smooth consumption activities. Thank you. In next class, we'll discuss about the next chapter.